Have you ever pondered the historical accuracy of the biblical 7-year famine? A fascinating story. It's found in Genesis 41, where Joseph, the Hebrew slave turned Egyptian official, interprets Pharaoh's dream. In the dream, 7 healthy cows are eaten by 7 gaunt ones, and 7 full heads of grain are devoured by 7 withered ones. Joseph interprets this as a prediction of 7 years of abundance followed by 7 years of famine. The story continues with Joseph advising Pharaoh to store surplus grain during the years of plenty to sustain Egypt during the years of famine. Pharaoh, impressed by Joseph's wisdom, appoints him as the overseer of this critical task. So, when the famine strikes, Egypt is prepared. Now, an interesting element in this narrative is the Hebrew word eretz, used to describe the extent of the famine. This word can be translated as earth, land, country, or the inhabitants of the land, leading to uncertainty about the geographical reach of this famine. Was it confined to Egypt, or did it spread over the Mediterranean basin, or even further? Moreover, the cause of the famine is attributed to a prolonged drought, a common reason for famine and civilization collapse, both in biblical accounts and archaeological evidence. However, the Bible does not provide clear-cut details on whether the famine was regional or global. Notably, the logistics of supplying food to the entire world and uncertainty about how far post-Babel humanity had spread are reasons to question the idea of a worldwide famine. The dates of the biblical account also do not align with conventional dating, adding another layer of complexity to this intriguing narrative. This biblical account has sparked numerous debates among scholars, with some questioning its historical accuracy. The story of the 7-year famine is not just a history of hardship and survival, but a testament to foresight and strategic planning. It also serves as a reminder of the enduring mysteries of the Bible, waiting to be unraveled by curious minds. But what does archaeology say about this 7-year famine? Well, let's dive into some fascinating archaeological evidence. A recent article in the esteemed scientific journal Nature suggests that a mega-drought approximately 4,200 years ago might have been responsible for toppling empires. This claim is based on uranium-thorium, or youth dating, performed on a stalagmite in India's Mamlu cave. However, it's crucial to remember that youth dating is built on uniformitarian assumptions, which means it assumes the rate of decay has remained constant over time. This method has been shown to be potentially inaccurate, making these findings somewhat contentious. The Nature article also discusses the Hebrew word eretz from Genesis chapter 41, which could translate as earth, land, country, or even the inhabitants of the land. This has sparked debates among biblical translators and scholars about the geographical extent of the famine mentioned in Genesis. Was it regional, or did it have global implications? The article seems to suggest that the drought was likely multi-regional, spreading from Egypt and outward over the Mediterranean basin. Interestingly, the Bible and archaeological evidence both often cite drought as a primary cause of famine and civilization collapse. However, there are reasons to question the idea of a worldwide famine. For instance, there's uncertainty about how far humanity had spread after the Tower of Babel incident. Plus, there are the logistical challenges of supplying food on a global scale. It's also worth noting that the dates of the study's conclusion don't align with conventional dating, and secular archaeological dates are often based on carbon-14 dating, pottery styles, and evolutionary assumptions. This evidence, while intriguing, has been met with skepticism and debate. Scholars have long debated the accuracy and interpretation of this biblical event. The 7-year famine, as described in Genesis, is a topic that has sparked numerous discussions and differing views. One of the most debated aspects is the geographical extent of the famine. The Hebrew word eretz, used in Genesis 41, can be translated as earth, land, country, or the inhabitants of the land. This has led to differing interpretations, with some scholars suggesting that the famine was global, while others argue it was regional or multi-regional. Let's take a moment to consider the suggestion of a multi-regional famine, spreading from Egypt and outward over the Mediterranean basin. This view is supported by some who argue that the famine's impact was significant enough to cause the collapse of empires, as suggested by a recent Nature article. But the question remains, could a famine of such magnitude occur? This brings us to the second point of scholarly debate, the cause of the famine. The Bible attributes the famine to a drought. Could a mega-drought have caused such a widespread famine? Some scholars argue yes, citing archaeological evidence that suggests drought was a primary cause of famine and civilization collapse in the past. However, not all agree. There's uncertainty about how far post-Babel humanity had spread during the time of the famine. Would a drought in Egypt have affected populations far removed from the area? And then, there's the logistical challenge of supplying food to the entire world, which seems unlikely. The disagreement extends to the dating of the event. The study mentioned in the Nature article used uranium thorium, dating on a stalagmite in Mamlu Cave in India, to suggest the megadrought occurred 4,200 years ago. But this method is built on uniformitarian assumptions and has been shown to be potentially inaccurate. Moreover, the dates concluded in the study do not align with conventional dating methods, which are often based on carbon-14 dating, pottery styles, and evolutionary assumptions. So, where does this leave us? We have a biblical account of a 7-year famine, archaeological evidence suggesting a mega-drought, and a scholarly debate filled with differing views and interpretations. The debate continues, but what conclusions can we draw? Drawing conclusions about the 7-year famine is complex, given the differing views and evidence. However, it's essential to step back and summarize what we've discussed so far. We delved into the biblical account of the 7-year famine, an event of great significance in the Old Testament. The narrative, found in Genesis, tells of Joseph's rise to power in Egypt and his prophetic dream, predicting 7 years of abundance followed by 7 years of severe famine. Joseph's wise management during the years of plenty ensured survival during the famine, not just for Egypt, but potentially for neighboring regions as well. In our exploration of the archaeological evidence, we investigated a recent study suggesting a mega-drought around 4,200 years ago that may have caused civilizations to collapse. This study was based on uranium thorium dating on a stalagmite in Mamlu Cave in India. However, the reliability of this dating method has been questioned due to its uniformitarian assumptions. We then delved into the scholarly debate surrounding the geographical extent of the famine. The Hebrew word eretz, found in Genesis 41, has been translated variously as earth, land, country, or the inhabitants of the land. This has led to differing interpretations among biblical translators and scholars on whether the famine was local to Egypt or spread across multiple regions. We also discussed the logistical challenges of a worldwide famine, considering how far humanity had spread after Babel and the difficulties of supplying food to the entire world. The dates of the mega-drought do not align with conventional biblical dating, and the secular archaeological dates are based on carbon-14 dating, pottery styles, and evolutionary assumptions, all of which have their own uncertainties. In conclusion, while there is evidence to suggest a significant drought event around the time of the biblical 7-year famine, the exact nature, extent, and impact of this event are still subjects of ongoing research and debate. The 7-year famine is an integral part of the biblical narrative, shaping the journey of Joseph and the fate of Egypt. Whether viewed as a historical event or a theological lesson, its influence on our understanding of history and faith is profound. While the historical accuracy of the biblical 7-year famine remains a topic of debate, its significance in the Bible and its influence on our understanding of history remain undeniable.